close up. Oof. Look at the inside. Look at that. Okay. Oh my God. So today I am going to be showing you guys how to make the most delicious, most decadent chocolate pie. I shared a photo of the chocolate pie a few weeks ago on my social media, and it is just so delicious, so scrumptious, so easy to make. You guys are gonna love it. It is low carb, keto friendly, but I do wanna tell you that no one in my family is keto or low carb, and I offered it to some of my family that was over a few weeks back when I made it, and they had no idea that it was low carb, sugar free, or keto. And I didn't mention it, they didn't ask. They were like, oh, that looks really good. Can I have some chocolate pie? And they loved it. So you can make this for anybody, not only low carb or keto. I do understand that a lot of people don't follow the keto or low carb lifestyle. I understand that everyone has a different lifestyle, and I love to cater to those of you that also just want regular traditional recipes. And I promise I will be integrating some of those recipes on the channel as we go along. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started making the pie. I do want to show you the chocolate. You can use any dark chocolate that your heart desires, but today I'm going to be using this brand. It's called Good Sam, and you can find it on Amazon, Thrive Market. If you're subscribed to their grocery service, they also have it, and it's just really clean and delicious. There's nothing, no junk or anything added to it. It is sweetened with allulose, but again, use the chocolate that you like. There's going to be very few ingredients, and that's why I recommend you use good chocolate. So let's get started. Let me show you how to make this delicious chocolate pie. Okay, so let's make this pie crust for the chocolate pie, and it's going to be a chocolate pie crust because we're going chocolate all the way here. And what I have in this bowl is some almond flour, and it looks a little bit dark because as you guys probably already know, I make my own almond milk. So the pulp of the almonds, I toast them in the oven and I put them in my food processor, and it's almond flour. And it works just the same. But if you don't do that, you can just get almond flour. You can just purchase almond flour, and it's the same. It'll work exactly the same. Same thing. So that's what I have here. And I have some salt. We're gonna be using some coconut flour. I'm just gonna go ahead and dump it in. Here's our cocoa powder. I'm using this cocoa powder. You can use whatever cocoa powder you wish. Most of them are unsweetened. We're gonna wanna sweeten the crust a little bit. Typically pie crusts are not too sweet, but they do have some sweetness. So I'm using this monk fruit sweetener, the golden one. So it's a substitute for brown sugar. If you have another brown sugar substitute that you like to use, you can just use that. And we're gonna use about 3 tablespoons. That's 2. And that's 3. Okay. Now we're also gonna use, and this is definitely gonna be kicking it up a notch, like they say, as far as the flavor goes. We have this right here. I know it looks weird, but this is brown butter, and I have a recipe, a short video on my channel on how to make brown butter. It's super easy, and you guys, it really just, there's some recipes that really get enhanced by this brown butter. So that's what this is. We're gonna use 2 tablespoons. And I had it in my fridge, so I put it in the microwave a little bit, so that it would soften up. And as always, the ingredients that you're gonna need to make this pie crust and the pie are gonna be under the description of this video, okay? Recipe and instructions. So, oh, this smells so good. There's your 2 tablespoons. There's also a little bit of pink Himalayan salt in there. Now we're gonna use some vanilla. And I don't typically measure vanilla, you guys. I honestly do not. But for the purpose of recipes, I always add. So that's about a teaspoon. I'm gonna add a tiny bit more because I love vanilla. There we go. And we're just going to combine, oh, we're missing one thing. And I'm just gonna mix this up a little bit here, just so that we can get some of the lumps out. Oh my God, this smells amazing. And that way our butter is gonna go through there. Now we're not done. And I know this looks like a lot of pie crust, but I like my pie crust to be a little thick. And also, this is the size of the pan, the pie pan I'm using. This is like a 9-inch or maybe 9.5 inch. So if you're using a smaller pie pan or any other sort of pan that's smaller, then you're just gonna have a thicker crust. And you can, I like to have sides on my pie crust, so that's why. And you can always half the recipe again if you want to make something smaller, because that makes a whole pie. Okay, the last thing we're going to add is eggs. We need 2 large eggs, preferably without the shells. And this is going to bring everything together. Oops, I broke that one. And now you're gonna wanna have your oven preheated to 325 degrees because we are going to bake this crust only for a little bit, okay? Only for about 10 to 12 minutes so that it will set and come together. Oh my goodness. I think we can probably just make cookies out of this. Yeah, so I'm gonna do that. Once it comes together, if for some reason, you know, sometimes coconut flour is very absorbent, so if you see that it's too dry, but you gotta give it a chance, you guys. You really gotta mix this together. You can do this in the food processor too. I like to do whatever I can do by hand. Oh, but it smells amazing. If by chance you feel that it's a little bit dry, it's not supposed to be liquidy. This is the perfect consistency. But if you feel that it's too dry and it doesn't look like this, you can always add a little bit of water or like a little bit of almond milk, or just a tiny bit, maybe like a teaspoon or 2. But I think this is perfect because we're going to, you'll see how it's going to come together. And I'm just going to show you. See, if you go like this, you see this, and it's together, that's what you want. Okay? So I just put the pie crust in the oven, and it's at 325. I'm gonna put it in there for about 15 minutes. Okay, so what I've done now with the pie pan that I'm going to be using for my pie, before I put my crust in there that we've just put together, is I just used a pastry brush, and I used that same brown butter, and I have covered the bottom of the pie and the sides, okay? And I know this already has some butter, but we don't want it to stick. We want to be able to get it out once it's ready, when we want to eat it, okay? So we're going to do that, really important, and then we're just going to go ahead and dump our pie crust in here. Oh my God, this smells amazing. And we're going to dump it all in here. And if you want a cup, and I just want to flatten this out to make sure that it's as even as possible. And if you just like the bottom, you know, if you just want your pie crust to be in just the bottom of your pie, you can just do it in the bottom. But I like to have some on the sides. I'm that kind of person. I love the crust. I like to have on the sides. So I'm just gonna do that until I get it all nice and even as possible. I mean, it's pie, you're not gonna hurt it. You can't mess it up. Okay, so here is our chocolate pie crust. Isn't it beautiful? I worked on it for about maybe 2 minutes. And I used this to make sure I got all the way around nice and flat, as even as possible. And you see the sides, they're thick, that's how I like it. But again, you're gonna form it to however you like it. And now we're gonna get ready to put it in the oven at 325 degrees. Make sure your oven is preheated, and it's going to bake for about 10 to 12 minutes. We just wanna lightly bake this. We don't want to, you know, we don't need to bake this for more than that. We're just gonna set it. And then this is actually the only baking that we're gonna do on in this recipe. So stay tuned so you can see how we do the filling. Okay, you guys, so while our pie crust is in the oven, we're going to go ahead and make the filling for the chocolate pie. And this is just a bowl over a pan of simmering water. Make sure your pan is smaller than your bowl so that your bowl just sets on it. This is called a double boiler. I like to use this method, but you can do this. You can melt your chocolate in the microwave if you'd like. You can do it in the microwave, but I like to use this method. I don't know, I'm old school and I just feel like this works better for me. So let me show you what we're gonna be doing. Over here, what I have here is some gelatin that I am blooming in a little bit of water. This is the gelatin I'm using. Show you the pack. It doesn't have to be this is just what I have, but if you have any sort of unflavored gelatin, you can use it as well. Then we have the chocolate. Here, let's start adding. This is a cup of the chocolate that I showed you guys earlier. We're gonna add coconut milk, so it's dairy-free. I'm using, this is gonna be a cup, I'm sorry, a half a cup, but then I need to add another quarter cup of this. And if you don't have coconut milk and you want to use cream because you can do dairy, that's fine. If you want to make it a little bit less richer, you can use a combination of almond milk, unsweetened almond milk, and coconut milk. And I'll leave that in the recipe for you guys if you want to do that. So we're essentially going to go ahead and melt the chocolate and the milk in here. So we're gonna do that first. Make sure your heat is not too high because, you know, this is the best way not to burn your chocolate, but it is gonna take a little bit longer, but it starts melting right away as long as your heat is on. I have it like on medium. All right, as you guys can see, the chocolate is pretty much melted. It really just took like maybe 3 minutes, and I just kept whisking it so it's completely melted and incorporated into the coconut milk. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the gelatin. This is the gelatin that was in that little container that I added a little bit of water, and so we're just gonna put it in there. And we're gonna mix it in there with our whisk. I get it off my spoon there. There you go. And this is gonna help. The gelatin is important because it's gonna help, since there's no eggs in here to hold it together. I know the coconut milk is gonna definitely hold it together, but the gelatin is going to help with the texture, and it's also gonna help hold it together since we're not baking this in the oven. And at this time, the gelatin is all in there. It's pretty quick. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna be using some Liquid Stevia. My preferred Liquid Stevia is this one from Trader Joe's. If you have another one that you prefer to use, even like a chocolate flavored one or vanilla flavored one, you can use it. I'm gonna use 1 dropper full. And I'm also going to add some vanilla. Oop, my pie crust is done. Some vanilla, and that's going to be pretty much my filling for my pie. So the last thing I like to add, which I forgot to tell you guys, is just a pinch of pink Himalayan salt, especially because I'm using stevia. Stevia can tend to be a little bitter, and also we know that salt enhances the flavors in all of our sweet recipes. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take it off of the double boiler because it's basically done. And I'm gonna take my pie crust out of the oven and let it cool for a few minutes, and then we'll proceed. Okay, you guys. So here's our pie crust. It's been cooling for a little while after I took it out of the oven, and it just looks and smells fantastic. It just looks like a big cookie, like a big Oreo cookie. Here in this bowl is the chocolate pie filling version, and it's, you guys, I showed you how I made it over the stove, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna pour it in here. This is still hot, so I have to be careful. Just pour it over the pie crust. And since I made my pie crust sides kind of high because I love that ratio from, I like pie crust, so, and I'm just holding this in a way that I won't spill it, or so I can get all of this, you guys, because we cannot leave any of this behind. Okay, and I know it looks liquidy, and that's exactly what it's supposed to look like. If you've ever made ganache, which is just a combination of cream and chocolate, this is what it looks like. You know, that you use like to drip over cakes and for other things. This is exactly what that looks like. So not to worry, this is gonna set in the fridge and it'll harden up, it'll come together, but it will just be like the most delicious fudgy consistency. Okay, so I think I got all that I could from there, and just like that, we're gonna put it in the fridge. You don't have to wait for it to cool. The pie crust, we do want it to cool a little bit before we put this on it. It's still kind of warm to the touch, but it's fine. And again, you could see how high the sides of my crust is. You don't have to make them that high, but oh my God, I just love it because I like the extra crust. So that's just my preference. And so we're gonna put it in the fridge now to chill. And that's the unfortunate part. The hardest part is we have to wait a few hours before we can try it because it has to set, okay? And then we can try it. So I typically like to leave it overnight. So the next day I can just try it when it's completely cool, but you want to at least wait 2 hours. I would wait at least 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, or as soon as you see that it's set, you can take it out and slice it and try it. If you have whipped cream or you like whipped cream on your pies, you can always put some on top. That's always also gonna make it look a little bit nicer and more decorative, and that's optional. Now I do have another recipe here on my channel that is a similar pie. It's a chocolate pie, but it's a no bake, completely no bake, not even the crust. So I'm gonna link that one up in the cards in case you guys wanna take a look at that one, and if you don't wanna even have to bake the pie crust. And so next time I see you, we will have the pie out and a slice, and we're gonna try it. I'm gonna try it with you guys, all right? So now we just wait. First piece of a pie is always the hardest one to get out. But look at this. Because we buttered the dish, look at this, you guys. Oh my goodness. Is this not a beautiful piece of chocolate pie? And look at that crust. Look at that crust. So I think you guys got the point about how much I love pie crust. Comment below, how many times did I say I absolutely love pie crust? Comment below, how many times? I'm sure there was a ton, but here it is. Let me fix my camera. All right, so here you go. Get that close up. Oof. Look at the inside, look at that. Okay. Oh my God. This is literally fudge. You can literally just make the filling and put it in your pie dish or in individual containers, and you have, it's just delicious. It is so rich, but so delicious, you guys. I have to take another bite. If you have been watching my videos and commenting on them, interacting with me, I want to let you know that I really do appreciate you guys. I love to hear back from you guys, and thank you very much for your support. Also want to welcome any of you who are new to my channel. I have seen some new faces, and I do appreciate you guys as well. I invite you to stick around, like the videos so that YouTube can recommend them to others who will also enjoy them, and also subscribe and hit that notification bell so that YouTube will notify you every time I release a video.